Mans, like, what would you say your situation you were in before we start working together?
Okay, so it was actually kind of kind of complicated because I've been, of course, I'm living in Norway, right?
Yeah.
And I had when I was younger, I had opportunity, and I got to stay in the US for a couple of years, and I just like being a young teenager, just slacked it off, like went to raves and like had a blast. But when I came back home, like that was it, the show was over. I pretty much gained nothing from it, right?
Yeah.
I didn't I don't even keep in contact with those old friends because they were all going to raves, like they were partying, they were doing drugs and stuff.
Yeah.
So when I came back, I cut all that out. I figured out on the plane ride back that I had to like get the job. So I started applying for jobs.
What was the year? What was the year?
Uh, 20, 2017, 2018,
Okay,
something
20,
like that.
yeah, 2018, let's say. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I had to apply for jobs, so I went on like our job hunting website and sent out a CV to uh, probably like 200 companies or something. So like
Yeah.
it was sent it out to everyone. And within like a month or two, I only got a single reply.
Yeah.
Yeah. It like looking back on it, it makes a lot of sense because I didn't even have a Norwegian phone number, right? So if they
Yeah.
were contacting me, they had to like call this US number and get it translated back to Norway. And so yeah, it was complicated. And I couldn't write for shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And
terrible.
got it. And what would you say, let's say, when you joined, before you joined Elite, what do you think was like the biggest reasons why did you decide to join Elite? Like, what was there something happen in your life that you were like, I just need to somehow get into this Elite mastermind and like work with Elias? Like, what do you think was the reason why you decided to work with me?
Okay. So after I came back, I started a sales job. I figured that like this was a way for me to not go to school. This was made me to make it without having to do the hard work.
Yeah.
Uh, so I took it as like an opportunity to be lazy. So my work would start super late, and I would wake up like an hour before I started. Like it would start at about like 2,
2
like
p.m.
2 o'clock p.m.
Yeah.
And I wake up at like 1 and just barely make it to work.
Yeah.
So I was living like that for a long time, and like just being mindless, going partying, doing all that stuff. And eventually I got the girlfriend and tried some different jobs because of COVID. And when I was trying all these different jobs, I noticed that it was much harder than I than I've been living. I've been living in easy mode.
Easy mode. Yeah.
And yeah, and doing all these 9 to 5 jobs, it was fucking awful because I didn't make any more money. I didn't get to spend like as much time with my girlfriend, and I didn't like enjoy it at all. You know,
Mm.
um,
What do you mean?
so
Like, why you didn't enjoy it that much?
because I was working more, making like the same or a little less, and I didn't like. Um, I felt like all the people there were were just as clueless as me. So when I started like looking in the mirror and like realizing what my life was, uh, that's when I realized like I had to do something else. I had to make a change. Uh, so I started going through like self-help books and videos and stuff like that. Um, and honestly, I just made up my mind that I'm not going to be one of those guys that just work 9 to 5. Like that's not my life. I would survive doing it, but I wouldn't enjoy it at all. you know.
It's like you need to escape the matrix, basically. That's what you're trying to say. You realize that you need to escape the matrix.
Yeah, or yeah, the rat race. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And regarding like what do you think was like the final straw? You were like, okay, like if I don't do this, like what to say, like you had like final straw, like I need to take action. You know, did you have some specific situation where you just drew the line in the sand, you're like, I need to take action
Yeah.
and do something different?
So we haven't actually talked about this yet, but the land or the line in the sand was I was getting some financial aid from the government.
Yeah.
And they decided to take it away, but they did it in a way that I had to pay back like some of the money I'd gotten. So I got a bill that I had to pay within 14 days of like, I think it was 30 or 40,000 kroners or something.
Yeah.
And I had no way of doing it. So I had to take up a loan, like a personal loan to pay back the government. And it was like so soul crushing, you know. So I needed to make a change. And honestly, I didn't think I was gonna make it like this far now.
Yeah.
The only changes I was gonna make was like fitness, and like I was gonna go back to school, and you know, many things that I really didn't want to do, but I felt like I had to. So I started out fitness, and I got into one of these Discord group.
Yeah. Self-improvement groups.
Self-improvement group, yes.
Yeah.
And there I saw randomly one dude that said he had made 100,000 doing sales.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fucking bullshit. I've been doing sales for 5 years and I haven't made anything.
Yeah.
So I basically messaged him, I wrote him a big like wall of text and asked him, how did you do this? Like, I need to get out.
Yeah.
And yeah, we talked, we chatted for like a couple of days, and then he connected me with you, and I guess that's when the ball really started rolling, you know.
Yeah. And by the way, like I don't know if you told in the beginning, but like you're right now, let's say you have kid too, right? That you need to provide for kid,
Yeah, that's
wife,
right.
and so like, and you're basically working in like through sales, but you realize it's not the best vehicle for you to do something long term, right? And it was more about like getting some money in, but you're like, this can't be like long term thing.
It's
right?
it's not scalable.
Yeah. So like basically, I think you realize that it's not how hard you roll, but both you're in. So like you told me that you were hustling there a lot, but you only made like few grand per month there, you know. So you realize that you need to apply this skill set to something better with more leverage, right?
Yeah. And whether I was hustling there or not, it didn't really make a difference either way.
Yeah.
So I was pretty much like, why even try, you know?
Yeah.
So
and you know, like how long did it take for you to get a gig? You know, so we start working together, you know, like it was Friday or like what day it was? Friday or Thursday. So we started working together.
Yeah, so it only took us like that day.
How like it's yeah, it wasn't even a day, but like in minutes, how long was it for you to get a gig?
10 minutes, right? Something like that.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
That's
crazy. So
crazy.
basically in 10 minutes, right? So basically you joined and in 10 minutes got a gig, right? And if you had to tell something about the gig, you know, how much is the product? You don't need to tell like what specifically you're selling, but like how much is the product you're selling on about?
It's yeah, right, euros. It's about 5,000 euros. Right?
Yeah, like 5K USD. Got it. And let's say you were talking with CEO, so like how much would you expect to make on that gig?
Well, I'm making 10%, right? And we're required to close at least 20%.
10%.
Yeah. So realistically, it will be above 10K.
About 10K.
Yeah.
So 10K is realistic, but let's say the best case scenario, if you crush the numbers, you know.
I have no idea. Like, I think honestly, I think 10K is like lowballing it because I'm new. Because
Yeah.
that's not even like one sale per day, right?
Yeah.
Not even one day.
So let's say you start hustling and you actually like perform very well. Like, what is the best case scenario? How much you can potentially make?
Well, let's say like okay, closing 2 per day doesn't sound that hard. That's 20K, right?
Yeah, that's 20K. Yeah.
3 per day, maybe, you know.
I mean, three is maybe too much, but I mean, some people do three. Yeah.
But we're going as high as we can.
Yeah. But
But yeah,
basically,
like,
what you are saying is like 10K is like extremely realistic. But if you're
yeah,
very good, you can make 30K, but like realistically 10K at least.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And that's way more than I even like to sustain myself now. I wouldn't even need to make half of that even, right?
yeah. Yeah.
And like even if like it doesn't go that well, well, I think it's gonna go very well. But even if it didn't go well at all, it's still probably enough to get out of like most of all my debt.
Yeah.
Like, and even if I get one like half decent month, then I'll be all good, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be
And
more than worth it.
yeah, what would you say is like the biggest difference? Like how this thing is like much better compared to, let's say old job you were working, like how much this is better compared to the old one, the old job you had.
Like here it matters, like what I do matters, you know. I got in as soon as we got in, we booked the gig, and I wasn't like after that, I didn't like sit back and like take it easy. Like I really want to make this work. So I went right into the school, like started following all the programs, started messaging people and like talking to them. So I've been like as I told you yesterday, I was out with my girlfriend celebrating her birthday.
Yeah.
And I was sending you guys messages like, man, I really want to just sit home and study right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's crazy. It's a different like life energy, basically. Like it makes sense. It feels right, you know.
Yeah. Also, like, what would you say, like you work in that job and this job, this is your old job. I mean, this is your old job and this is your new job. So how much this job is better than the old job? What is like the bit like why this new job is much better than the old one? For example, the old one, I think that it was like you need to be in the works, like in the workspace. But here
Okay.
you can like work remotely from home, right?
Okay, I got you. So yeah, it's definitely like we talked about money. So of course the money is a big thing, right?
Yeah.
Being able to travel and actually like buying flowers for my girlfriend is like it's for me now it's expensive, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's something that's I don't it's not in the budget. Like it's gonna so financially everything is gonna change. And being able to travel, like we've talked so much about wanting to travel more and like not live in Norway and give our kid like a better opportunity, you know, like spend more time with him.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
So yeah, and also like if you had to say like top three things that this new gig that basically I landed you will give you, like what is the top three things? Basically work from home, you have more time with the kid, and less financial stress. What else do you think it can give you?
And I think even if I were to like somehow have figured out that I could get the gig and like find it myself, I wouldn't, after getting a gig, I would just be stuck, you know. I would just try whatever old lazy sales method I would use going door to door.
Yeah.
And it would never work, you know. So just like having a community, being able to talk together and like tell you guys what's going on, and you guys coming back to me with like you should do this, this, and this, and this, and yeah, it's it's a big difference.
Also, like I want to repeat that some guys will be like skeptical, like how long it took, the whole process. So if I repeat this, so basically, since you joined, in basically in 10 minutes, I landed you a gig, right?
Yeah.
And in that gig, the potential earnings, and realistically, you can make 10K per month. But if like perform very well, you can make 15K, 20K, and potentially even 30K per month. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So like people will watch this still and they'll be like still skeptical. So yeah. It's normal. Okay. And I would say, what are the like best things in Elite that like you are like very grateful for in Elite?
So I think when I started going through like the resources,
Yeah.
I was actually I was kind of shocked because everything was like so well thought through, everything was laid out perfectly, and like everything connected, and like everything was explained, and like it's it's not a small program, but it all perfectly connects.
Yeah. Got it.
Then of course, like talking to you guys, like we had a meeting earlier today with everyone. It was kind of fun, like listening to their process, and well, you know what to say about like you are like a combination of like your closest friends, that's saying, however it goes. Yeah. But this is like you are now a part of something where everyone wants to build and grow, and it's pushing everyone forward. Like you if you were to like stay here and fail, like it would be my fault, if I were to fail. I got the gig, I have the resources, all I have to do is like put in the hours, put in the work, actually make it happen, free myself.
Yeah. And if you had to say someone who is very skeptical, he's like, I don't know, like if it's possible to do like remote closing, like is it actually possible, should I work with Elias? Someone is sitting at the fence, what to have to say to someone who's sitting at the fence, think about it?
I think like just like be honest with yourself. Like, do you actually believe in yourself, because like someone working out 5 days a week, like they're not like if you're having a hard time getting a workout and you see your friend working out 5 times a week, it's not because they're like so different and like it's nothing special, right? They just decided that that's what they're gonna do and they're gonna make it every week.
Yeah,
you just have to make up your mind and actually do it.
Yeah
Actually put in the work.
Yeah. And also, like, for someone who is just watching, let's say just watching YouTube videos, so like what would you say to him if he's just watching YouTube videos? Like, do you think that like if you had just watching YouTube videos, you'd basically go from work your job to making 10K per month with your gig, realistically? What do you say?
What?
So like if you just like watch YouTube videos, would you think that like you could actually like make 10K per month with just watching random YouTube videos here and there? So for someone who is actually right now watching YouTube videos, and he's thinking about this, do you think that watching YouTube videos is enough to make 10K per month, or he needs actually something else?
I mean, if you I mean, of course you can do it, right? Like,
yeah, of course.
But do you have the time to do it? Do you want to do it by yourself? Like, you're not gonna get the gig in like 1 year, it's gonna probably take you way more than that.
Yeah.
You have to find the right people, you have to make your own connections, you have to figure out how to sell. Like, you're gonna get your first gig and you're gonna have nothing to build on, right?
Yeah.
So you have to, if you want to try and make it yourself, for sure, go for it. But it's gonna take a lot of time.
Yeah. And
it's
why? Like, why?
It's a lot nicer having like a community you can work together.
Yeah. And like, let's say like why you didn't decide to just do it on your own, why you just didn't watch some YouTube videos, why you decided to join and work closely one-on-one?
I think that if I were to do it on my own, it would take first of all, I would just be me, right? I would be all alone, pushing myself forward. And I can probably do that for like, okay, a week, that would be easy. 2 weeks, easy. Month, okay. Half a year, okay. Like 2-3 years and failing, like, because you can't like making a call for the first time without any information. Like, of course, it's not going to go well. You have to mess up, right?
Yeah.
So when you eventually get your first gig after a few years, then what? Then you're gonna lose it, and you have to find another one. You're a little bit better, but you know, like it would be. I think it would be. I think it would be difficult. Yeah, doing
Yeah.
running.
And if you say to someone who is, he's actually considering joining, and working with me closely, and he's a little bit skeptical about it, what do you have to say to him? He's close to like working with me and he's a little bit skeptical. He's like, I don't know if it's possible. I don't maybe trust Elias. What do you say to him?
Yeah, I was, I was skeptical too. And what really, what really did it for me, what really pushed me over the edge, was basically looking at my life right now and like deciding, do I want to stay here or do I want to take a risk, right? And honestly, the upside of taking the risk seemed way better than staying how it's right now, how it's been.
Yeah, for sure. Matt, I think this was a good interview. Yeah, thanks for the interview.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime.